Hello. So today we will be talking again about GPIO, pin configuration of the GPIO. This topic is not easy to understand, so not for me, not for a lot of people. So I think I'll probably spend a little bit more time to studying it. So essentially, all this pin exposed in the bigger BBB, BeagleBone Black, they have several functions depending on the mode that you have the board set up. So right now I have my board set up like this, maybe a little bit more. So I have USB connected to the computer, and I have the serial converter also connected to the computer. So um, so so today we'll mainly focus on pin control, debugfs, which is essentially a way, a driver in the kernel to control or read pin configurations and value actually. So think of every pin on the BeagleBone Black as a light switch that come by wired to a control several different appliances. So one light switch is the pin, but that light switch is wired to many appliances like microwave, dishwasher, stove. So you get the gist. So, however, before any electricity can flow through that one particular appliances, you actually want someone to decide it. So that will be the muxer boxer, the pin-mux boxer multiplexing to decide which appliance electricity will flow through. So that's where this muxer boxer come in. So um, based on what you set this muxer boxer, so you can set that one pin, which is a light switch, to a microwave, then you can use your microwave. You can set it to a dishwasher, then you can use your dishwasher. Think of it the same as when you want to use a GPIO, then tell your muxer boxer to set the switch to GPIO so you can use the GPIO. Set it to UART so you can use the UART. Set it to I2C, you can use the I2C. So that's kind of the gist. I hope that analogy was a little bit easier to understand what this pin-mux multiplexer does. So again, the AM335x system on chip is basically the heart of this board. So this chip right here, it does mostly all the work. So the Linux kernel gives a window to these registers pin via the debugfs file system, and we use the pin control subsystem to expose the debug information of each and every of those pin. And this is a little simple command that you can use to get to the pin control. Let's just jump into an example here. Perfect. So now we are in the home Debian. So in order for us to have access, so again, for this video we are looking to read GPIO pin configuration. So a tool that we can use to do that is this debugfs, which gives us access. It's essentially a Linux kernel driver that gives us access to the pin, controlling the pin, reading the pins, aka reading the registers. So we need to cd into this pin control directory, and we should be able to use the pin control single, which is the special kernel driver, essentially a code that manages the pin muxing via the debugfs. So let's go ahead and go into that. And I guess let's do this. Let's cd into that one at a time. System underscore kernel underscore, or not underscore, slash debug, then pinctrl. Let's go in there. Let's go ahead and see what we have in there. So we have these files in here, and whenever we are in this pin kernel, this file is essentially the base address of the board. So if we look inside this base address of the board, we should be able to expose a lot of the functionality of the board's pin. What do? We want to go inside this folder and be able to expose what we have going on. So let's go 44E1. Then if we do an LX, now it does expose the pins. So this is a directory pins, which is essentially, this will show you all the pin and the register address currently, as well as the current value of those pin or register address, which is super. Literally, you are touching the silicon when you look in here. It gives you that information. Pin-mux select. I'm not sure what this is, but pin-mux pin is it shows you the mux mode of the pin. So let's say the mode of a pin is mode 7, mode 2, mode 3. Mode 7, most of the pin, if it's in mode 7, is in GPIO. How do you know this? When you go to the let's go header. Maybe it's actually here. Right here. So right here. So this lists all the various mode that you could set each pin, mode 0, 2, all the way to 7. So this also do the same thing, but reading it in the hardware. So you function list all possible named functions like the GPIO, the UART that the pin supports. So this is actually really great information, really great folder to familiarize yourself with. Then the pin groups, basically the same as I guess the pin group shows the pin configurations in a more human readable one, like the pull up. Let's see if we can cut that pin group. I believe it's yep. So it groups the pin based on the special grouping depending on the board. So this is a UART grouping. This is telling you that these two pins can be used for UART, which is actually a really good information to have. I2C pins, MMC pins, the user LED pins. So these are the group of our user LED pins. So let's cut into the pins. So this is our pins, and we can see that it goes all the way from 1 to 141, and this role is pin ID, pin numbering, the group in the GPIO. So we do have 4 different groups: group 0, 1, 2, and 3. I saw some question marks there, but like this one is a different group, and this is the group 0 group. This is probably group 3, and this is group 2, and then the next column is the actual register address. This is you can reference or point to this register and be able to manipulate the value of the register, which is really cool. This is where you can use code to touch silicon on your board. Then this other column is the actual value of this register. It read the actual value of this register. So just having this information, having a way to get to this information will be able to tell you a lot that you need to know about the board. So big takeaway is that to be able to read, we literally just read the registers of the board, and these are all the other values. So now it's up to you to get these 32-bit values, then decode them based on this technical sheet. And that's a whole new topic that we will need to cover later on. Hopefully I'll plan for it. So I hope this was helpful. Talk to you later. Bye bye.